Hey everyone, today is February 2nd, 2024, and we're heading up to northern Ontario to do a camping video in an abandoned tree stand deep in the wilderness. There's nothing up here but small little towns, very rural. Right now the temperature outside is 41 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 5 degrees Celsius. So it's a pretty warm day to go camping for winter standards. It should be way below freezing this time of year, but it's not. Tonight it'll be about 2 below Celsius or about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe around a little colder than that, but it's barely gonna get below freezing, so it'll be a pretty easy night for sleeping. We got a heavy duty sleeping bag, so we probably won't even need a heat source with the sleeping bag, and I'll show you what we found once we get up there in a little bit. Oh wow, this is kind of cool. It's been cloudy all day and drizzly. Now we can shut the wipers off. The sun's actually coming out a little bit. It went away a little, but it is getting warm out. It'll probably get a little warmer too. Maybe we'll even hit like 7 degrees Celsius or 46 Fahrenheit. It's gonna get a little warmer. It's still early in the day. Still got a lot of traveling. It's actually very early in the day still. So it's probably gonna get warmer. Then tonight, it's gonna struggle to get below freezing. Yep, it looks like we're gonna drive into more mist, more rain up there. Yep, I could see that drizzle coming minutes before we even hit it. Yep, it's raining again. Maybe another just 10 minutes, 15 minutes up the road, it's no longer drizzling. Now it's actually snowing, which is good. As we get north, the snow's getting a little deeper, but temperature's staying about the same so far. All right, everyone, we're gonna see if we can get something to eat in here. Then we got a couple more hours of driving north before we get to where we plan on camping. Yep, it's actually snowing right now, despite it being 41 degrees, 5 degrees Celsius. All right, everyone, we just made it out into the woods. We drove a couple more hours. It's now just afternoon. The sun fully came out now, and here's what we got for tonight. Full can of propane. We have a heater. We have our wall clock thermometers so we can monitor inside and outside temperature. Got food, stuff to cook for tonight, sleeping bags, some pads, pillows, camera equipment. We got a stove, and the snow is very hard, so this is going to take some maneuvering to get it in the woods without tipping over the entire thing. So maybe a 5-10 minute walk into the woods from where we parked is the tree stand. This week temperatures have been going up and down like spring. It's warm, everything's melting in the day, and then at night it gets below freezing, hardens up. That's why the snow is so crunchy. You can walk on top of it in certain spots without even falling through. Very crunchy. So we were out here about a week ago checking out this location, and we're finally back today. We brought a suspension ladder, so it's much easier to bring things up into the tree stand. Very heavy items I won't be carrying up. We'll be using a hoist just to make it a little safer, so we can keep those 3 points of contact going up so we don't accidentally fall. And it's also very difficult to bring anything up as it stands. Today's temperature will get well above freezing, and I just checked the weather again, which is awesome news. Now that we're much further north, yes, it's still warm in the day, but tonight it's gonna get down to like -8 Celsius. So that's gonna be awesome. I love winter camping when it's really cold so we can run heaters. If not, it gets kind of hot in there. So we're gonna put a suspension ladder here against it so that we can easily get up there. But right now I'm gonna show you guys what's in there. We're gonna monkey up there, take a look inside. Hopefully we don't find a sleeping raccoon or something. But compared to our last camp, it's a lot cleaner. There's not hours worth of cleaning poop out of it. It's been abandoned for a while, but it's still in very good shape. It's on 3 levels of scaffolding, which is very strong. It'll take forever to rust through. Not super shiny right here. So not many people have been going up at any time recent. every corner has that wear and tear from when it was actually being used. And once we're all set up, we'll go take a walk because there's a beautiful swamp, wetland we can look at. It may attract some animals. So here's what it looks like up top. Up top right there is a window with a bunch of cover over it. Very easy to hunt an animal walking by it. That's what this tree stand is for hunters to sit in there and just wait for a deer or something to come by. Then there's an absolutely massive tree next to it. So let's go ahead and get a look up inside. Not as bad as I thought. We're slowly moving it along without tipping anything over. All right, everyone, it's time to go on up and see what we're dealing with today. Making our way up, making sure to hold on nice. All right, everyone, we made it to the top. We're pretty high up. Let's go in here for the first time. Here's what we got inside. All right, everyone. First time coming up here in a week since we first stumbled across the place. So right here, there's a good window, bunch of camouflage. This will block the wind, help keep some heat in. With our heater and cooking, we're gonna make so much heat in here that we're probably not even gonna have to cover this up. We'll just leave it as really good airflow. So we got a good view. This is where a hunter would sit with their crossbow or rifle and wait for some animal to come down there. We can see a lot of animal tracks. Animals still recognize that they used to be fed here. Hear dogs way in the distance. So right here is a good steady table for someone to sit their rifle right on here. Be very, very steady instead of just holding it in their hands. So this is a very nice table. We can set the stove up here, and then we can set up the heater maybe on this. Last week it didn't move. Still not gonna move. That log is frozen to the rug. This rug is a bit crunchy, so when we make some heat, it may start melting slightly. I don't think it's wet enough to cause an inconvenience to us, not really. Thankfully, there's no poop or anything in here, just leaves, natural debris as if we were camping. I'm not even gonna really sweep it out. Just gonna put a mat down right over it. And there's a can of propane in here. This is kind of cool. Is this like a 5-pound? It's definitely smaller than the one I brought, maybe a 10-pound. That's really cool. And it might even be full. Nice. We also got a little buddy heater here. We do not have the hose, unfortunately. That wasn't left up here. There might be a pee bottle here. I'm afraid to open it and smell it. So for now, we're just gonna drop that outside. And this, I've never used a big buddy heater like this before. I have a little buddy heater, which uses a propane can. That's almost full. There's not one on the other side. You could put a separate tank. Doesn't need it though. Not required. Let's see if it works. Pilot. You push down, you're gonna hear gas. Let's see. I hear it very slightly. I feel like I should be hearing it more. And also, the ignition does not work. It might start with a match or a lighter. We'll try it. But as of now, it's not working. It doesn't matter. I brought a heater. So what you're looking at down here is how it would start. So this thing right here is a heat detector. It will not, the gas flow will not remain flowing unless this thing detects there's heat. So that if it blows out, it doesn't continue filling your room with gas that would kill you or cause an explosion. This little tiny nub right here is the electric terminal. When you push the ignition, a spark should go from that and arc over to here where the gas is coming out. As you see, it's heavily corroded. It's probably been up here for years in the abandoned tree stand. While I push, that should be sparking. I see no spark at all, but I do hear a little gas. Maybe it'll light, maybe not. We'll give that a shot. Oh, what's this? Some pillows. They're covered in mold. They're full of like beans or something. Oh, this one is soaked. Probably coming in from that hole. Yeah, this one feels really wet and moist. We're just gonna leave those there. But this is actually really cool. I'm gonna leave this up here. In the little cooking stove I brought, we can hook that to that. Then, because last time we went camping, we had one giant propane tank. We disconnected it for cooking, it was fine. We just left the stove on when we were eating to keep the place warm instead of the heater. But this is kind of cool. Here we got some branches we can maybe tuck behind the scaffolding so they're not in our face. And there is enough room here to sleep, even with the log here. If this thing does move, we'll just move it into the corner out of the way. But for now, it's a good seat to sit here and cook. Now, let's go get our suspension ladder and see if we can start this place up. Once we shut the door, I think, yeah, down here it's completely sealed. There's no holes. I think it'll retain heat pretty good. And those big tank top heaters like you're going to see I have, those are really good at radiating heat directly onto surfaces, including your sleeping bag and you. So it doesn't matter even if you were sitting outside with it aimed at you. There is actually some good amount of snow up here, so now that the sun's coming out, maybe that'll start dripping. I'm surprised there's not a lot of squirrels out here that we're seeing, because I think they're around. So these giant white pines are covered in pine cones right now, and the pine cones usually fall to the ground as they dry. But right here, a bunch of half-eaten pine cones are falling to the ground. That's what you're seeing, shredded pine cones from the squirrels opening them up and eating the seeds. All right, everyone, we got it at a pretty good angle. We're gonna secure it at the top so it can't possibly fall back or slide. Even though it wouldn't, I wedged it right in there. I'm gonna take some metal wire and we're gonna tie it so it can't possibly move. I think it's good that it's a little off to the side, because over here we can hoist the heavy items up, or it wouldn't even be that bad carrying them up this much better situation. All right, everyone, I got some metal wire and some wire cutters. I'm gonna go up and secure the ladder so it can't accidentally fall backwards. Then we're gonna start hoisting things up. All right, nice and strong. I try pulling away. It's not gonna happen. Way heavier than I thought it was gonna be. But that is the heaviest thing. Awesome, so much lighter than the propane tank. Now the sleeping bag's coming up. Here comes the sleeping bag. Everything feels so light, it's like nothing after that heavy propane tank. I could barely grab onto the rope with that one. Not quite as heavy as the propane tank. Awesome. Perfect.
First time coming up. I dropped my drink. You stay there. Oh, it's tight.
Yeah, it's kind of crowded in here.
Can I hold this?
Yeah, just don't hold on to anything dead.
Okay. Ooh, this is kind of scary.
Yep, just gotta make sure.
this is scary.
Just make sure you go out backwards when you leave later. So the floor will be for sleeping. It is kind of tight, but once all the bedding's on the floor, we'll have a nice counter to cook on here. I think.
Scary.
It is very tight up here, but it's okay. It'll be easy to heat. All right, everyone, so it's very tight in here, but I think once we set up some things, it'll be nice. Once we set up the bed, we can walk on the bed. We can take our boots off at the door so we don't get it dirty. First, because the floor is kind of dirty, leaves and pine needles I don't really consider dirty, but there might also be things we're not seeing, but to me, it looks like it's just natural debris, no poop or anything. We're gonna put a blanket down just to be safe. And then we're gonna put the sleeping bag on top of it. It's gonna be pretty tight sleeping here, but it's okay. It'll be a nice cold night. And now I gotta get the sleeping bag. That'll make a lot of counter space now. Gonna open it up. This will be the third time of using this negative 30-degree Fahrenheit sleeping bag. Works out pretty nice. We got to figure out which end is which. Do we want our head near the door or probably want our heads away from the door? So flip it that way. Jam it in there like this. where it's kind of out of the way and we can fold it back out when it's bedtime. And these are pillows we can leave packed until bedtime, just leave them underneath there. We're making a little bit of space. How could we set up our clocks? We can just lean our clock there for now. Might go back to the vehicle and get some zip ties so we can hang these. Inside temperature, outside temperature, I'll probably find a tree to hang this on, where in the middle of the night I can zoom outside at it. So as you can see, it's well above freezing. It's showing 40 Fahrenheit, 5 Celsius. So here's our dinner. We'll leave this on the counter. Hopefully when we go for a walk, I want to show you guys the swamp and everything in the back. Hopefully the squirrels don't come in here, because I think that's why there's broken pine cones all over the floor. So this right here, I don't think is going to turn on. I'm curious. I'm going to go put that on the ground since I brought a better heater. Let's see if this will turn on. Remember, the starter doesn't work, so maybe it'll turn on this way. Okay, it does work, but we're not going to use it. See? Yeah. It does turn on. It'll produce a lot of heat. Now, I have a little buddy heater myself, and the propane tanks freeze very fast. This has 2 of them. Actually, it only has 1. So it's probably going to freeze twice as fast. So it works. The starter's broken. We're just not going to use it. We're going to hoist this back down to the ground to make more room. Also, it's going to be thankfully a colder night than I thought, so we're just going to hook it up to the giant tank. That was actually really hard to get up with the rope. Almost couldn't grip it because it's like a plastic rope, not much to grip onto. All right, so yeah, everyone, it is still very early. It's actually 12:30. So we still got 4 hours until the sun goes down, so we're going to do a little exploring in the area, a little bit of checking out the swamp, and then we'll come back once it starts getting dusk for dinner. This camp went together much faster than I thought. I thought we were going to have to clean it. I thought getting things up here was going to take a bit longer, but it appears not. When you have 2 people working together, it got together much faster. So in here I also have a hose. Yeah, the hose, so we can use this propane tank that was already up here. So actually, maybe we won't bring this outside. This will be like a... Oh, perfect. Right against the scaffolding. Good. We want like a wall. We want to keep the flames away from this, because if this was to catch fire, this is going to go up in flames fast. This looks like a material that might not burn, but this plastic and stuff would go up very fast. So this is a good buffer away from that when we start the stove up. So this is all hooked up, ready to go. There we go. Nice. Nice for cooking a little bit later. We've got a little bit of counter space now. We could spread out all our stuff. Got the gas can way in the corner, out of the way. Temperature in here went down slightly. Now it's saying 3 degrees. I guess these were just sitting in the sled, sitting in the sun. So we also got some food here. We can move onto the counter. Get our chair back. Things like this, it's just a bag. I could put it somewhere out of the way. Stuff it there for now. And I think because we're in such a tight space, I don't think it's a good idea using tripods in here for filming. So This looks like galvanized metal. I'm going to use the same magnetic camera mounts I use inside culvert pipes. I think that'll be the best solution for in here because we can stick it here, aim it at the counter, aim it for time-lapse sleeping, and the magnets I have are so powerful you can even stick them to these roofing nails on the roof. Also get these off the counter, these really nasty moldy pillows. Just put them down here for now, and I'll go put the small one outside. We'll organize as the night goes on, but we're organized enough now. Before the sun goes down, I want to go ahead and go for a walk. I'm leaving my camera gear outside because 90-something% of it I'm not even going to touch. I'll bring up my magnetic tripods, camera lights, camera power banks, and the last thing we have to do is we just cleared off this stool. Now I'm going to set up our gas heater. All right, everyone, so now I'm going to go ahead and set up the very powerful tank top heater. So we hoisted this tank up, which was the heaviest thing to get up here, probably about 40 pounds of it. So I'm gonna set the tank heater up. Now we gotta be very careful with this thing where it's pointing. If it has the whole room, it can be on high. It's such a small space, we'll probably run it on low or medium because there's combustibles all over the wall. We don't want to aim it at anything that could start a big fire in here. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this thing together. All right, now I'm just gonna go ahead and do a test to make sure it works for tonight. So this thing has a safety on it. This right here is in case you tip it over, a kid or an animal, it'll shut it off before it starts a fire. It could still start a fire because this thing is so hot, it takes minutes to not be red anymore. So, the tank has to be on. Now, you got gas. There we go, it works. Running nice, and we'll shut it off until later. Yep, come onto the ladder. Keep holding on to the... Yeah, that one should be okay. That's a stronger post. Just be careful of the rotten stuff. You can break all the little twigs off.
Stuck to my cardigan.
Hear a lot of gunshots in the background.
How many things are they killing?
They're probably target practicing. There's too many shots.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
All right, everyone, we're gonna go for a little walk and see the swamp. We're leaving this setup because that was a really good hoist basket for all our food and stuff. We're leaving this stuff down. We forgot the pots and pans in the car, but we'll go get that. Here's underneath. Nothing's rotten at all. Nice, blends right in. Now we'll go for a little walk to the swamp back here. There's a square hole, kind of looks like it maybe was a foundation at some point. Right here, there's still animals digging up something. Probably turkeys making these kind of holes, picking around. So let's take a little walk out to the swamp. Right here, these claw marks, that looks like raccoons, the way it's walking. The deeper ones, no, it looks like a couple of raccoons together coming over. This is rabbit tracks. These are squirrel tracks. Let's see what other kinds of tracks we can find out here. Square hole. I have no idea what would make that. more of them. It just looks square. It might be a raccoon when the snow was softer. Right here are some, they're not actually mushrooms, they're called Indian pipe. It's a parasitic plant that feeds off of roots of other plants. Maybe not parasitic, it doesn't exactly hurt them, but it does take. This kind of plant is what the natives used to use as a medicine, supposedly eating it. It's not recommended to try it. They used to use it in kind of like an aspirin. This is really nice. It's a very dark section of forest heading up to the marsh or swamp. I really like how the white pine's needles are stuck in this fir tree. Looks kind of nice. It kind of looks like a natural tinsel you'd put on a Christmas tree. Right here we have more animal tracks. These are bigger, not the raccoon anymore. That is likely a coyote. See, it looks just like dog tracks. Alright, there are multiple sets of coyote tracks. Right here looks like probably a couple turkeys walking by. So there's lots of animals in the area. Maybe we'll hear some howling. I know I usually just hear the coyotes in the winter time during mating season. So these are raccoon, but the other ones, the deep ones where the animal actually sunk, look like coyotes. See, it's more like a dog print, while these are more like little claws, more like little fingers. All right, everyone, we're approaching the swamp, and compared to when I started filming just 2 hours ago, the snow's not really crunchy and hard anymore. It just takes a little bit of sunshine and it makes it soft again. It's melting it slightly, and it'll be even harder tonight. It's been decently cold. Not as cold as it's supposed to be. This has been a very warm winter. Very warm winter, above average. This time of year, January and now February, especially here in northern Canada, well, northern Ontario, I should say, it should be below freezing every single day for the high. It's not. It's well above freezing every day. But anyways, the swamp is frozen. Can safely walk around on it. Maybe, hopefully, make our way to the water. That's what I'm hoping to do. See this here? Beavers a long time ago cut this tree down, and by the looks of it, this entire area was flooded at some point. By the looks of it, within the last 10 years, this was all flooded. I see lots of cattails coming up. The snow is much deeper out here. Look at this, the beavers only half cut this tree down, but it completely recovered. I'm noticing the snow actually is not any deeper out here. It's just, it is on top of the grass and you're falling through the clumps of grass, which just make it seem deeper. We might be coming up upon a abandoned beaver lodge. We'll see. I want to make it down to the water. There's a little trickling stream in here, but someone must have hunted the beaver off and they're not here anymore. No, it was not a beaver lodge. At least I don't think it was. It's just a big lump of soil. Because beavers, when they flood an area, they'll make little canals into the woods so they can float back material to make their dam bigger. This whole area was underwater. Now we're going into the area with cattails. Maybe we might start sinking into mud, but it may have been cold enough. I'm hoping to get down to at least where there's some water. It's likely still frozen, but we'll see. All the cattails are blowing around. Is this seeds? Like a dandelion? There's gotta be a trickling stream, I'd assume, before we get there. Or maybe the stream's down there and it backs up into here, I'm not sure. I'm trying to see if there's water up here. Trying to figure out where the water comes from that the beavers back up in here. Could be down there, maybe not. Oh, now I'm getting into some deep lumps. I don't see water. No. So that means the water is down there somewhere that backs up. And maybe that's why this is all drained. Because if we zoom in, there are some buildings down there. So whoever's house that floods probably floods up into here. And the beavers are probably messing with those properties, and that's probably why this is all drained. Yeah, there's not even water down in that deep crevice. There's nothing here. This is just a little cove of a much bigger pond, I think. All right, everyone, it's been a couple of hours and the sun is starting to get low. We probably have another hour or so until it gets dark. And I'm curious to see if any squirrels have gone in there and messed with our food. Probably not, but there's evidence of squirrels. And we heard a couple angry squirrel noises just a few minutes back. All right, we're gonna put everything in here. Those are a couple extra things. And over here are camera lights we'll use tonight. Power banks, anything going up is gonna get put in there. It's now 20 past 4, and the temperature up here in the tree stand is 3 degrees Celsius, or about 35 Fahrenheit. And if we look outside at the other one, it's now reading, it's at an angle, so I'm thinking it's about 9 Celsius, or about 48 Fahrenheit, which is very, very warm. It should not be that warm this time of year in northern Ontario. Very warm year. The next couple days are also going to be pretty warm, getting pretty cold at night, but later in the week we'll be at 10 degrees Celsius or 50 degrees Fahrenheit for a couple days in a row with heavy rain, so I think every little bit of snow will be gone, but hopefully we get more snow by the end of the winter. Tonight we might get down to about negative 10 Celsius or about 15 Fahrenheit, hopefully.
So today we are going to be making some mussel and green beans. So we forgot a knife again, so just using a butter knife. I minced up some garlic that we're gonna add to the green beans. We're just gonna open it up. I could really smell the butter burning. Shit, they have heads on it. Gotta cut those. Black pepper. Bit more water. Here's the water. Just a little bit. So we just added some green onion and we're just gonna mix that in. Pinch of salt. Add a little bit more pepper. You have time too if you want. So we're just adding a bunch of spices for taste.
Alright everyone, here's a close-up look at the food. We're just waiting for some of that water to boil off.
Let me taste the broth.
Any good?
Mm-hmm.
It's just about boiled. It thickened up quite a bunch. Better cook a little more.
Okay.
That green bean is still crunchy. And that's just for snacking.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna throw in some tomatoes, but it's okay.
Are these scallops?
They're mussel.
Alright. These mussel I think are going to be much better. Every time I've had them in the past, they were like mushy in soup. That's what I associated them with.
Mm-hmm.
These aren't mushy. I'm thinking the steam is going to get that hard stuff off the sides of the pan. tomatoes when I'm done eating. They help clean your teeth. All right, everyone, now that we're done with dinner, we're sitting underneath the table. We're gonna catch up on some editing, sitting here in front of the heater. And we're gonna have some berries while doing a little bit of editing before it gets dark. Then we don't have to edit this video tomorrow all at once. We can do half of it now and the rest of it when we leave. All right, everyone, we're gonna try using this other heater for now, hooked up to the small tank. And because now we got this hose, borrowing it from the stove, letting that one cool down. We might use that one for bedtime because it's a little safer, because it's a little above the bed. We could put this one up here. This one doesn't produce nearly as much heat. That other one's extremely powerful, but this one, while we're just sitting down here, it's completely quiet, which is a good thing for editing. All right, everyone, it's a bit later, and we're gonna do some temperature updates. So the tiny propane tank is very frozen. See that? They get really cold as the liquefied propane changes into a gas. It's been working very good, this heater. It's very quiet. We'll probably use up that small one so we can recharge it and leave a full one when we leave. And we won't really use this one. We'll take the one that's just about full with us tomorrow, put that heater back on for nighttime, and just let it run on top of the stump. And it's just after 9 o'clock. I've been looking at this temperature on and off, and for the longest time it was staying at about 10 Celsius, 50 Fahrenheit, but we lost a degree or two in the past hour or so now that it's cooling way down. All right, everyone, I got my big flashlight. Let's see if we can zoom into the thermometer outside for a temperature update. It's about -3 Celsius, or about 28 Fahrenheit outside, and we're supposed to keep on dropping. It's still very, very early in the night. You hear that, everyone? There's coyotes out in the woods calling. It's now very, very quiet. Every now and then the animals in the woods, I think, make the dogs at the houses nearby start going nuts. You might hear dogs in the background every now and then in this video. But yeah, there's a coyote out there, and right now we're having some chocolate rice cakes. A little snack before we go out. All right, everyone. So because we're burning this in here, and we've been burning this in here now for like 5 hours, and I'm surprised it hasn't become a problem earlier, but now if you look right here, we're now melting the snow on the roof, and unfortunately it's not dripping on the outside of the wall. It is dripping on the inside of the wall. You just see a couple drips. So right now we're gonna drape a plastic bag outside and onto the table underneath a couple weights. So hopefully any dripping water will be caught by the bag. It's not dripping that fast, and it is getting colder, so that might help us. All right, so here's a bag. I'm gonna drape it on the outside. Put it underneath the stove. Put a couple more weights on that. Try to drape it out a little bit. Oh, there's ice. Oh, wow. There's actually a good amount of ice forming there from it freezing. All right, hopefully this will stop it. Hopefully it doesn't start dripping more. Hopefully this doesn't become a little pool that eventually just lets go onto the bed in the middle of the night. But it's not dripping that fast. I think that'll solve just a little bit of dripping. It didn't even make it down to the bed yet. I think before we settle in for the night, we're gonna go ahead and go on down, maybe do a little bit of exploring, a pee break, and we'll probably go to bed fairly early tonight. Get up nice and early, put this away. I'm actually very tired today. I'm just starting to wake up right now, unfortunately, but I am very tired after a long day coming out here. All right, everyone, we're gonna go outside for a quick little walk. All right, I'm on the ladder. Gonna head on down. Come on. You hear that? There's so many coyotes out here. All right, everyone, it's so quiet outside now that the only thing I can hear is that burp and the gas running up in the shelter. All right, let's head off in this direction. This looks like a trail. The snow is still relatively soft from earlier, but you can feel it's starting to harden again. It's so still out. There's absolutely no wind. There's lots of little trails and clearings out here. Just listening if I hear any coyotes or anything. You know, oftentimes trees like this in the middle of winter, they'll still have leaves because this kind of tree, it wants the deer to eat the dead leaves instead of ruining the bark and buds. See, it's got buds that are ready to open pretty soon. Got some woodpecker holes with sap leaking out. Got some more little animal tracks. I see turkey tracks again. It's good to go for a walk when there's a little bit of snow because you can go random spots and find your way back. Wow, this tree is massive. One of the biggest ones I've seen out here. That'd be a good spot to put a tree house right between these. It's one really big tree. big tree.
Uh-huh.
So what we're walking on now is some abandoned ATV trails, and right here, just naturally, this is like a nice little shelter here. See how all these sticks and trees just fell over together? We could put a tarp over all this and have like a natural little shelter underneath here. Yeah, they look like they'd probably stay together. There's lots of dead white pines in here. Right here, there's another grouping of branches that just fell over. You could wrap something around this and make it into a little teepee itself. And right here, all this debris here looks like squirrels have been eating the seeds out of the pine cones again. That's what all this debris is. It's probably squirrels living up in this one. Oop. Now that we're up and moving around, even though it's kind of cold out, there's no wind, it keeps you blood pumping and you stay nice and warm, even though we don't have pants on. Right now it's about -4 Celsius outside at the moment. You get snow in your boot?
Yeah. I think it melted.
I bet all these old abandoned ATV trails and open spaces like this through the woods also attract a lot of deer and things to the hunting stand, because when the woods is like this, lots of things to trip over, lots of obstacles. Animals would much rather walk here to avoid all that. That's why when the snow is really deep, if you shovel a path, every animal's going to use that. Same thing when the snow is really deep, you'll have a lot more animals walking in the edge of the road. Hey, there's an old wheelbarrow. All right, we're gonna make another loop around the woods here, going off trail for a little bit. Looks like there's an opening here that'll eventually go back to the giant marsh I showed earlier in the day. It's now about 11 o'clock. It's perfectly quiet. Oh wow, this looks really cool actually. Look how all the trees fell over perfectly. Well, from a distance, it kind of looks like railroad ties. I like walking through these woods here in northern Ontario because it's so much different than northern Maine. It's a little further north, but it's much lower elevation, so the trees are much bigger. We have white pine, but they typically don't get as big, I'd say, or maybe ours were just all logged. That might also be it. This is kind of cool, this grouping here. You got the cedar, the 2 white pines, and this one here, I'm not exactly sure what you call it. I know it's different. Now we're still walking down that trail headed towards the marsh. I'm starting to see some grass, so that might mean we're a little bit close. Take a look at these pretty cool mushrooms here. All right, everyone, and we're back. We've been out a while. The light's starting to get a little dimmer. Not super bright anymore. And now it's time to head on back up. Let's see if the temperature changed at all since we went up here, or since we went out for a walk. Wow, the temperature actually went up. Now we're only at -2, or about 29 Fahrenheit. Oh wow, you bumping that tree just scared me. I thought that was something running through the woods. Yeah, that scared me. Heading on back up for tonight. All right, everyone, we're coming in for the night. It's about to be midnight now. Gonna knock off my boots. Take them off for the night, and it's just about time for bedtime. Oh, the heater died while we were gone. Okay, that little tank is dead now, so we'll bring that to the store and recharge it. I've never recharged a small one like this, so can we just ask them if we could get a quarter of the price? Because I'm assuming this is a 5-pound instead of a 20-pound. We'll see. Now we'll go over to the big tank. I think this is the last day of this toothpaste, huh? Alright, got my jacket off. About to hop into bed. So over here, right next to where we're sleeping, you see how the branches are all wet? It was dripping a lot here. We temporarily solved it. It was dripping earlier, if you remember, but it started dripping again. Yeah, see, there's like a little puddle of water there. I'm hoping it doesn't become heavy enough where it comes in here and just sudden giant splash in the middle of the night. I don't think it will. It's not dripping that fast. Let me show you. So this bucket is now collecting what was dripping near our head. And over here, there's not much water at the moment. Still a little bit dripping off the roof. Because, yeah, it's just dripping a little bit. Not a big deal. The heater was aimed over here before. So that's why it really started dripping in this corner. But now that it's aimed the other way, maybe it'll start dripping this side, but at least it's not that bad if it starts dripping by our feet. Plus, I can always just dry out the sleeping bag when we get back. Make sure there's some water and a pee bottle in here available. And I'll zip this thing back up. If it gets hot, I'm just going to shut the heater off. This thing's a pain to zip. It's stuck. It won't zip. It won't zip. It won't. It won't go past a certain point. I don't know if it's stuck. Oh, I got it. There's a red squirrel out there. Well, this squirrel, anyways, was just climbing this tree next to the door on his way up here. I opened it, we looked at each other a few seconds, and it took off down the tree. Well, good morning, everyone. Right now, it's about almost 9:20. I had to fix that clock. At about 7 o'clock, the clock got stuck at 7:04. I just reset it to 9 about the time I woke up. It's now been ticking along for about 15 minutes, and it does not appear to be stuck anymore. It didn't run out of battery or anything, it just stopped. And I reset it, and it started moving again. I don't think the battery is dead, because it's a pretty new battery. Just bought the battery in that 2 weeks ago, and I've gone over a year doing extreme cold camps with one of these clocks before, and don't know why it stopped. That's weird, but that's why it stopped in the time lapse. Now I'm just sitting here having something to drink, waking up. Might have this energy drink. I've never seen the orange one before. Give that a try. The heater, when I woke up, was stuck to the floor because they get really cold and freeze. So this tank here is now at about half. So there's enough in there to make breakfast and stuff. And we'll bring that along to the next camp. This big log is still frozen to the floor. That's not going to even move yet. And overnight, we did collect a little bit of water sitting here, but it's not dripping much anymore. I'm assuming we melted what little snow was off the roof. So all night we ran this heater on low, and I just literally right now clicked it into high just to get some extra heat in here. And the temperature we maintained was this. A little bit colder than last night. We're at about 8 Celsius, or about 46 Fahrenheit, while outside, the coldest I ever saw when I woke up this morning, I took a look out there. If you see in the middle of the night, right before the sun came up, I took a peek out there in the time lapse. Outside was about -5 Celsius, or about 23 Fahrenheit. And we are already at the freezing mark, and it's not even 9:30. It's going to be another unseasonably warm winter day. Going out for a pee break. Now I'm going to clean the bed up real fast, get the floor cleaned up, and we can have some breakfast. Sleeping bag down, and we'll clean the rest of this stuff up after breakfast. What else could actually be thrown without breaking? Oh, the pillows can be thrown without breaking. We'll throw those. Caught them both.
Uh-huh.
So the floor was actually just frozen yesterday, and it's defrosted now. So we're gonna wear shoes in here because this is actually completely wet, defrosted from us sleeping on it. And the log, still frozen to the floor. that cooking oil?
Yep.
You woke up another friend.
Huh? What?
Come on.
Where?
Wanna keep moving?
No.
Nay, is that an egg?
Yeah.
Why would you throw that in here?
Cause biodegradable.
Yeah, but on the floor in the shelter? A nasty raw egg? I don't know. We can share from the same pan.
Perfect.
Let this thing cool for a few minutes. Disconnect it. All right, everyone, I'm setting down all the miscellaneous loose items first. I'm hoping this doesn't tip. Try to get down. Heavy, heavy box. Made it down safely.
Good to go.
Thank you. Here's one more mixed load. Kind of heavy. Getting some rope burn. Even though it's half empty, this feels just as heavy again. Gotta be careful not to slide the rope. That really hurts my hands going down. There we go. One more tank. Last load. This is the last load. Everything else is out of here. All right, up inside. Put this stuff back where it was. No sign that we were even here. Looking around. Now that we defrosted it in here, the floor is wet. It smells a lot more like pine. This big log never melted off the floor. It is still stuck there. Nice. All right, everyone, it's time to disconnect the ladder, get the ladder down, and later on I'll bring the small propane back after we go to the store and fill it back up. Disconnecting the wire holding the ladder. All set. Time to pull the ladder down, and later on I'll just monkey back up it with the tank. On the way back down, I was trying to be as careful as possible to not let it slide, but I did get a little bit of rope burn. It's okay though. Now I just gotta wind it back up a little. All right, everyone. Now that we got the ladder back to the car and up on the roof, I'll be back out here with the sled to get the tanks, dirty dishes, and trash. First, I'll bring this back. We're not as organized as when we came out, so I'll make 2 trips. It's only about 10-minute round trip back and forth. These are the last items we're gonna take. All right, everyone, it is 11:21 in the morning, and we got the camp completely cleaned up. This tree stand made a very, very good camp, and now everything is cleaned up. You always want to leave a campsite the same or better than when you found it, and I'm now noticing that the sun's coming out and glimmering. Take a look at all the icicles and stuff all over the scaffolding. That accumulated overnight. We were melting all the snow off the roof, then it dribbles down where it's colder without a heat source, and there's a ton of ice. These icicles will probably fall off though, now that it's starting to get well above freezing. See how the ice where it was coming in last night? Pretty nice. Now, this is not just some random spot that we happened upon. I did have permission to use this last night. If you find something like this in the woods and it's private property, don't just go ahead and sleep in it like I did. You could get yourself in serious trouble. We did just use this thing for fun last night, but we did have permission to be here, so there wasn't a problem. I didn't find any poop, no squirrel nests. They're not living in there, but they definitely sometimes hang out in there. That's why there's a bunch of pine cones torn apart. They love the white pine trees, pine cones. So over here, there's definitely still some kind of bait that they're seeing. I see a bunch of sunflower seed shells all over the place that they're digging out. Looks like sunflower. Oh. Yeah. Sunflower seeds. It looks like maybe they were already deshelled and the squirrels took off like another layer of skin as they were eating them. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great day. Alright everyone, right now we're at Walmart getting a new clock. This looks exactly like the clock my grandparents have had in their house since I was a little kid, so I'm going to get this as a replacement. Try to return the other one to Home Hardware, hopefully without the receipt. It broke within a week. I like this shirt. I'm going to get this one here and a couple bins. I really wish Walmart would sell this as a long sleeve or short sleeve shirt instead of just a jacket. I love how bright this plaid is. It's really cool.